Hi guys. Years ago, we lived in Indonesia, and it was about the time when sun-dried tomatoes were a big thing. Well, knowing that we were not able to get sun-dried tomatoes in Indonesia, I learned how to make them. Talk of that simple. You can do your own sun-dried tomatoes at home, in your oven, even on your grill. You've got to keep the temperature low. But what we're going to do today is give you a simple primer on how to do your own sun-dried tomatoes. Since there's such a bounty of tomatoes out there right now, since it's summertime, this is a perfect time to take advantage of that. You can pack them in oil and put them in the refrigerator. They'll last for several weeks. You can also take the sun-dried tomatoes and put them in little baggies and freeze them, and then reconstitute them with oil, use them in salads, all kinds of good things. Let's go and show you what we're doing here. I'm gonna put my salt on the side. I'm using little Roma tomatoes. And the reason why I'm using Roma tomatoes is because they're smaller. I certainly would not want to use a big Creole tomato or one of the big hothouse tomatoes like that. I'm going to use a Roma. You can also use the Campari tomatoes. I do believe that the little tiny sweets would be too small. I've already washed and I've cut them in half. So I'm going to dry off the top. I'm going to press the paper towel into it and dry off the moisture that's on them, because that'll speed up the drying process. Now, some people take out the insides, but I like to leave mine in there. So we do have some seeds in mine. So it's up to you. You can take them out or you can leave them in there. So we dry them. And I have a prepared pan here, and I layer it with foil. And I'm going to spray it with my EVOO sprayer here. Just get a light coating of olive oil on here. So let me finish up getting these dry. Try to get as much of the moisture off as you can. We used to make a sun-dried tomato dip, and you can find it on the food blog at www.cabeuser.wordpress.com. And it's sun-dried tomato dip. It is delicious. But the only sun-dried tomatoes we had were mine. And back in Indonesia, we had staff to help us, because every time we come in from the grocery store, we would have to Clorox our vegetables, and we would also have to wash them with bottled water. It's just a different life, but we learned so much. Now that they're all dry, there we go. We're gonna layer them out here on and there's nothing. So layer them out. You want to kind of keep them separated. These kind of want to clump up. I've done 10 tomatoes. When I usually do this, I do trays and trays of them. You can also do this in a dehydrator. I don't have a dehydrator anymore. I'm thinking about getting another one, but I don't know how much I would really use it anymore. All right, so we've got them out here. I am going to go ahead, and I was thinking about pouring some of the olive oil on, but I think I'm going to spray it because it gets the olive oil on more evenly. So I'm going to give it a nice coating with some olive oil. I used to, when I lived in California, I would dry these outside, and you need to make sure if you do them outside that they're bug-free, animal-free, and you need to be careful where you put them. You don't want to leave them out overnight and let something get a hold of them. But the problem being in Indonesia, it was too damp, and just as it is here in Houston, Texas, it's too damp and there's too many bugs. So if you're in an arid climate, say if you're in Arizona or if you're in California or New Mexico, you can do these outside and you don't have to heat up your house. My oven is set on 200 degrees. I usually keep them in for at least 4 hours. So it's not really going to heat up the house that much. You can also set your grill. Do not put them on direct heat. But you can come out with some delicious tomatoes doing the same thing. So let's get this here. I'm going to use a little bit of sea salt on top of these. Not a lot, just a tiny bit of sea salt. Make sure I've got a little coat of olive oil on top of that. And we'll just sprinkle some sea salt. When I get these out of the oven, after they're dry, you'll be able to tell when they're ready. They're rubbery. Your oven may not be the same as mine, so I'm not going to give you an exact time. But you'll know they're dry, rubbery, they're a darker, deep red, and they will be perfect, as I said, for your salads or your pastas or a topping for a beautiful steak, and you will be good to go on this. So if you have any questions, message me on this site and I'll get back with you. I wanted to show you the product of our sun-drying, really oven-drying tomatoes. So this is what they look like. It took way longer than 4 hours. I think that was because the tomatoes were still pretty moist on the inside. They were very, very ripe and nice and juicy. So we did approximately 9 hours in the oven on 200 degrees. You need to watch them and make sure that they come out like this. And these are perfect. I will put them in a baggie and put them in the refrigerator and probably use them tonight. You can also freeze them, and they just make a great addition to pasta. But as I said, you've got to watch them and make sure that they are right. You don't want to have them too plump. You want them nice and dried. If your oven is not hot enough, or the temperature's not right, or the tomatoes are too moist, it may take a lot longer. And as I said yesterday, it should have been about 4 hours, but it took about 9. So give it a try.